Okay, now that I have this all strung, again, this is the side that I have the tape on. This is the side that I started here, strung all the way through and back out again. Okay. Now at this point, this is where you decide, is it long enough? Is it 24 inches long? And obviously this isn't, because this is nice and tight. Kind of keep this all done along here. And I definitely need a ½ inch over here, ½ inch over here. So what I would normally do is I go back to this color and just add like 4 or 5 more on this side. I add 4 or 5 more on this side, and then I'm done. Next part is I'm going to start putting the findings on. Now I do have, so you're going to need bead tips. So a silver bead tip. We do have gold ones as well. I do spray paint the bead tips with a red top. Okay, so it's a little bit easier to find. You decide on which kind of finding you want. These are a spring clasp. There's lots of different sizes in here. You can take these. These are about 8 cents a piece. And then you're also going to need chain tabs. Now, right now, these are gold ones. So this would not work. Remember, I have everything else right now is silver. So you do need a silver chain tab, of which I have one here somewhere. So I'll be using that. I'm going to stop the camera. I'm going to zoom down, and I'll show you how to start finishing this off. Okay, the way that you string this together is I'm going to start on one side. I'm going to take the side that already is taped. I have lots of extra, and it's really nice to have that. So it's important to have that. Because I have all the extra, I don't have to worry about tearing through that tape. I can just snip that off. So the first thing is that we need to put the bead tip on. So again, mine is going to be silver. So I have a silver bead tip right here. I'm going to stick the bead tip on. And the way you put it on is you put it through kind of the back end of it, because there is a little bit of an opening. And I slide that right through. So right now it kind of looks like a clam. Let's see if I can turn this just right. A clam where that string goes right through it. Next thing is I need to get a seed bead. Now I have this container right here with a bunch of multicolored seed beads. This is in the findings container. I can just open that up and not have anything come out. There we go, have a few come out. Now right here, I have a couple options. This one is a little on the big side. You want to try the smallest ones you can grab. This one's pretty small. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to slide that through the hole. So the seed bead is right there. And now I need to tie this on. So it's just a regular knot. Now the seed bead is in the knot area. So I'm going to pull this tight. And I want to tie that one more time. So it's just a regular knot. If you've never tied a knot before, you'll probably have to ask me, like, how do you do that again? And I can try to help you out with it. So I pull this nice and tight. So the knot, if you can kind of see on there, is kind of like on the outside of it, but it's holding it real nice and good. I'm actually going to kind of roll my finger and just pull that so I know that it's nice and tight. At this point, I would cut it. I wouldn't cut it right at there. I would just go up like just a small fraction of an inch to leave a small tail on that. You can hopefully you can kind of see that. I'm going to bring this I'm going to bring this bead tip back in. So you can see it right there. And it's going to go right inside the bead tip. So this is like a pearl going inside of a clam, or an oyster, sorry. And I'm going to close that up. And that's why this looks a lot nicer when you do something like that. Now the end here is open, and I can either put my clasp, which I have right here, or I can put my chain tab on. It doesn't matter which one you put on first. I'm going to put the chain tab on. Now remember, the larger opening is for the clasp to go through. The smaller one is for the end of the necklace, which is this part. So I'm going to take this, slide that in that hole, and here's where some more points go in. Is like you don't want to smash this area down. You want to try to curl it down with your fingers, but still leave it looking round-like instead of completely flattened out. Okay, it just looks a lot better when you do it like this. Okay, next side. Grade-wise, you want to have as little showing right here of string. It doesn't matter on the first one. The second one is where it gets a little trickier. Because if here's my end, I pull this kind of tight. So I want to try to get within an inch, get the next part on. Now I have a lot of extra. So to make this easier, I'm gonna definitely cut most of that off. And I have about, I don't know, about 8-10 inches of string from one end to the other end. Okay, same process. What's the first thing we do? We put the bead tip on. So I'm gonna grab the bead tip, put it on. Again, you put on the back side first. Just like that. Grab a small seed bead. Pass it through that little hole. And this time, so I have it right there now. This time, I want to make sure wherever I tie, I have to tie this within an inch of the last bead on my necklace. Okay, so that gets a little trickier, but it's not impossible by any means. So I'm kind of holding it with my fingers. Trying to keep an eye on the camera and the same time, which gets a little tricky. And now I have that, and that's within an inch, so this is good. If you have it like that, you're doing very well. Okay, big thing is like don't have it way out here because I know you can do better than that. Give that a little pull. I'm gonna cut off a little more extra so I have more room, or make it a little more easier to tie this on. And there's that one. Again, pull that nice and tight. Go up like 1/4 of an inch above that line. And now, same thing. I want to close this up. My fingers. Try not to make sure I actually could cut this more because right now I do see some of that strand coming out. So I will go in with my scissors and get that cut a lot better. Because that's points to get taken off. Because if you wear that, the downside with that is it starts poking against your neck. So you want to get rid of those. Okay, so this is nice and tight. Now I'm on my last one, so I'm going to take my spring clasp, go on that part. Again, don't flatten your bead tip. You're just kind of curling that down. So it looks like that and there. I can open up my clasp, put it through my chain tab. This is less than an inch. Okay, now that I have this part done, I'm going to put the pendant on. I take one of the jump rings, put it through here. And again, not every one of these uses a jump ring. Most of them do. And again, it helps redistribute the direction. If you don't put this in, it would have looked like this. But by putting the jump ring on, it flattens it down like that. I can take this over, find out where that middle is at. Slide that in place. Just use my fingers, close that up a little bit. And I'm done with my project. Okay.